welcome to Upturned Table. So this is the pledge that arrived for, it was Lieutenant Pledge, which is basically like a two-player starter set for Epic Warpath. Warpath is the setting, the, kind of legally distinct 40K setting that Mantic Games did. And they did a Kickstarter for their version of the Epic, because and I think actually they started it, we talked about this on the weekly. There was a little bit of a, it wasn't clear who had the idea to revive Epic first, because Mantic was talking about it pretty early. And then suddenly, I think it was the Horse Heresy version or whatever was done by Games Workshop. So they very quickly kind of, did their thing. But they'd been talking about it for quite a while. Right after they did their digital archive, and we're talking about the scale. If they were to do this game, what scale would it be? So Epic scale is 6mm. Epic Warpath ended up being 10mm. So it's more enjoyable to paint, I would definitely say. You're not just painting little greens of rice. There's actually like details on there that you can pick out. So that's fun. We'll take a look at what one of the kind of Force starter factions look like, and obviously you can tell from the plain cardboard and this their generic box that they didn't have their retail box done yet. All of that it's already on their website. It's been released after everything was fulfilled. They released it to their web store and retail. So this is just their generic shipping box. So that's how all of the forces arrived. We'll take a look at what one of those standard forces looks like. And basically what's in this box is everything you would get in the two-player starter set, and any physical pledge included this. I think the only thing that's going to be missing that would be in the retail starter set is a collection of fiction. So it depends on how much you really like the setting. So this was the Lieutenant Pledge. I did add one additional force because I couldn't decide between Plague or Forge Fathers, which is basically the kind of a Nurgle zombie force, kind of very necromutant looking, or the dwarven force. And that was the thing. Mantic had a little bit of an advantage for a while because they had space dwarves, they had space rats. They included some of the factions from fantasy that people liked into their sci-fi setting. So these factions are already, they've been in their lore since they've started. They've been in their setting, and basically this is just to try to take the how these forces play and put it on this epic scale. We were involved early on in the playtest for this. We signed up for the playtest. We just couldn't get enough games played. Things in the playtest moved pretty quickly. It was like a weekly kind of thing where they were giving us new stuff to play. And we just couldn't keep up, so we didn't report very much. So we kind of faded away with that. But that was really fun to see early days how they were tweaking the forces. And also we felt that we didn't have enough experience in the setting. These were all Firefight and old school, kind of back in the day Mantic players. So they had a really clear idea of what they wanted these forces to feel like. And we didn't, but it was fun because we just I printed out or laser cut some MDF bases of the different unit sizes, and we were just playing it that way with the stat lines they had given us. And each playtest had a restriction. Don't use flyers, don't use the heavy units. It had different things that they wanted us to test. So it was really enjoyable, and I was surprised how just with the abilities and kind of the differentiation between the units, it still felt, even playing with wooden discs, it still felt really fun the strategy and everything really worked, and already we knew it was going to be a very fun kind of playable game from early days. So let's dive in. We'll take a look at everything. So this will give you an idea of what comes in the starter set along with two forces, and this is this is how it shipped, which I'm glad. I didn't want to wait for any sort of improved packaging. So I believe in the starter set they'll probably give you two. These are the command dice. So you roll these before you roll these ahead of time. I think each turn based on which dice your either leaders or things you purchased or abilities give you, and this gives you your command points. So with the black ones and the orange ones, you can literally roll 0, so it doesn't matter so much. But this gives you command points to then power the different abilities, either by your faction or the ones that everybody has access to. And yeah, let's open one of these up. And these are, I think, still the Deadzone and Firefight. I think they're used in both of those. So these are the standard kind of nice, big, maybe 16 mil Mantic dice, but they're nice, clean, engraved. And of course, yeah, you want to roll greens if you can, because you're going to get some points. And I think everybody gets to roll a black just in case, but that's, I'm most going to give you 1. So yeah, these are the command dice they've been using for a while. And that's what they continued on with Epic. And this is a bombardment dice. I think if you are using an ability that scatters, like artillery and things where you're placing templates and scatters. Oh yeah, and templates will be included on the token sheets. You'll roll this, and the direction it's pointing will tell you how far you're scattering off of your target. And then these are the D8s that you're rolling. So everything, and it's a little bit hard because it's it's 2 more than D6s. So when you see things like 5 up, you're like, oh, that sucks. That's really hard. Oh wait, no, it's not. That's the half. So a lot of standard abilities are 5 up on D8s, and so that's pretty standard, pretty 50-50. So they included some of these, and they're fun to roll, and there's just that little bit of extra spread does add a little bit to the swinginess and the variability of stuff. So not bad at all. And these are their kind of standard dice. They did include, as part of the Kickstarter, 2 sprues of their terrain. They did a whole modular terrain setting, and these are kind of like miniature versions. They feel like miniature versions of Deadzone, or like things they've produced before. They've produced this kind of terrain before, and I hope this kind of stuff goes to their archive, their digital monthly subscription. So it'd be nice to be able to print some of this terrain out, because it's nice. It's nice that it's on sprues, but you'd want to fill a table. So looks like we've got a couple of buildings that we can play with, and of course it's all going to be the 10 mil scale, and they're nice and detailed. 2-sided. And here's our explanation for this is not for kids. And then we've got a package of, so I think this is the initiative or first player token, and then all of the advance Overwatch and different like pin and different target, different counters that you'll use. Yes, you give orders. You give orders to your unit. So let's open these real quick. Of course, I don't have a knife within reach. I just managed to do that perfectly. Yeah, moving everything out of the way. Oh, I should check the... Hey, Arturo, how's it going? Yeah, checking out some Warpath. Nice. Okay, so this is good. I've been wanting to see... the quality for these. Oh yeah, they're nice and thick. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, your orders, you give orders to your units, and they're hidden. So you've got the Warpath W on one side. So you assign orders to all of your units, and then you reveal on your turn. And these are the scatter templates. Those are nice. I'm just using cutout cellophane for that. So you get 3 sheets, or two identical sheets. No, they're not even. 2 sheets with a lot of the same tokens on them, and then victory point tokens. Nice. And everything you're gonna need. Yeah, they're pretty nice. So it's a big variety of sizes and shapes, so it's going to be hard. You're not going to be able to put coin cases on everything, because there's a lot of different sizes, but they're done well. If you take a look, they're nice and thick. I mean, they will, because they're not coated on the side. They'll fray a bit. I've seen people like seal that edge up with like acrylic or something to give you a little bit more wear and tear, but they should hang in there. And I can't remember if they did like wooden or acrylic or nicer, like premium tokens or not. But it's nice that there's so much stuff is included because it's much easier to track. All right, and then the last thing. So I guess there would be in your 2-player starter set, one more thing that would be included is a paperback collection of fiction. Warpath fiction to kind of get you in the mood, but they've got some background and lore here, and that's the thing I've always been, I'm always kind of rooting for Mantic because they're all it's former Games Workshop people that got kind of disgusted by the corporate swing that the company took and tried to do the same type of thing their own way, and so I'm always cheering for them, but they. There are some things like it's frustrating that they're still trying to do lore, like they're having that be an important part and having to flesh out this setting where it is just legally distinct copy of a lot of stuff. It doesn't distinguish itself so much from what it's already going on. And I wish, in some ways, they just left it more generic and the emphasis was on you building your own lore, you building your own setting. Like, how do these factions relate? How do they collide? Like, do something where they gave you abilities to determine, just to give flavor that you would like. Because the way that they're doing it now, it's okay. Like, it's kind of generic and it's okay. It's not very distinct. And same with their fantasy setting as well. They came up with this world and this setting, and it is just kind of generic fantasy. And it would be nice if either they left it more open-ended or they really invested in some good writers and had things fleshed out a bit. But and like most of the Mantic books, they do soft cover. So sometimes you look on the website and you're like, oh, that looks like a big sturdy book, and it's just a perfect bound softcover book that's full color. But I don't think, and it's probably an expense thing. They probably saved a tremendous amount of money doing that. But most of their rule books are, or all of their rule books are softcover. It's maybe early days. Early days. I remember maybe the first Firefight, when they kickstarted that, they did a slipcover. They were half size. They were the little booklet size, but they were hardcover. So they've done some, back in the day, but I think they've moved away from it just because of the expense. But the nice thing about Mantic Games is a version feels very complete. They don't play that bullshit with you where they release something and every faction that comes out with it is overpowered and they have to revise rules, and there's all kinds of errata and corrections. The versions, the editions of these games that they release feel like finished games and like a finished design effort, and they're kind of closed off. You don't have this they never developed this faction very well, or this is underdeveloped, or this is overpowered. They come up with a balance for rules and kind of refinements for each edition, and it's done. It's kind of finished. Whereas other companies, they just want to milk the hell out of you, like just constantly making you buy $70, or now they're like close to $100 hardcover books to just supplement with little bullshit rules and little bullshit tweaks that happen throughout an edition. So you're not even playing the same game within a single edition. That's very frustrating. But so let's take a look at legally distinct 40K, epic 40K. So this is the thing this doesn't do is save you any table space, because I think you're still playing on 4x6. But other than that, you've got a lot more units, and the scale of it feels tremendous. So here's where we're not mentioned because we couldn't turn in enough material. But thank you to everyone that worked on the playtest. There was a tremendous amount of feedback. It was managed on a Facebook group, which was probably not the best. It should have been a Discord or something. So a little bit, a little boomer, a little old tech, but really interesting feedback for players that were very passionate about the setting, and it obviously played a lot of the Mantic games before. So here's all the contents in here. So what you need: the unit profiles, rounds and phases, and then the phases of the game: command, movement, and overwatch, combat, end phase, explanation of terrain and transport, flyers, all of the keywords, and then army list for all the factions. So these are they've got standard battlefield stratagems which everybody gets to use, and then each of the different factions have their own kind of more customized. Oh, and there's even some scenarios in here. to basically get you started. And then at the end, they give you, looks like about 30 pages of their setting and lore. So they ended up doing 8 factions on the Kickstarter for this, which is, I think, everything that's in, that is everything, including the nameless, everything that's in this this setting already. The first 4 were the Asterion, which are your space elves, the Enforcers, which are kind of your space cops, the closest thing they have to space marines, Forge Fathers, which are space dwarves, and the Plague, which are kind of a Nurgle zombie alien virus faction, which feel very much like necromutants because they claim machines, vehicles, and war machines from other factions and just kind of plagueify them. So a Nurgle zombie faction. The ones that were added or unlocked that already existed in the setting, but they were probably not going to tool the starter armies unless there was enough support. The GCPS, which is their more the Imperial Guard looking. They look like grunts and very military. Marauders are their orcs. Nameless are kind of a Cthulhu-esque looking kind of fishy alien thing, and their veer-myn are the rats, are your wonderful space rats. So that's the next thing. I wonder if we're going to see in in the 40K setting, because they got their dwarves in there now in 40K. All right, so we'll just do a little bit of the setting itself. So over the centuries, humanity has spread inexorably into the far reaches of space since the creation of the Galactic Co-Prosperity Sphere. That's what the GSPS is, the Galactic Co-Prosperity Sphere. Humanity's touch has been felt so keenly by so many. The sphere now encompasses myriad planets and hundreds, if not thousands, of different species. Some join the sphere willingly, and others resent the GCPS and bide their time, waiting for humanity to fall or prepare to take their own revenge. Memories of old Earth are but a shadow, lost in the haze of light speed and technological advancement. Now there are only 2 things that drive humanity: progress and profit. So it's a little bit of taste of the setting, and here's an example of what one of these, what the board is going to look like. So you see, you've got a lot, you've got multiple bases on multiple miniatures on a base. So you're dealing with for infantry like 4 miniatures, and it's all on round bases. So they chose the 10 millimeter and round bases as they were kind of play testing and tweaking things. So that's a bit different from the original Epic Games scale and how they're not in ranks or anything. All right. So sorry. So set in and around the vast galactic co-prosperity sphere, Epic Warpath is an immense and immersive and exciting game of futuristic battles fought on alien worlds. And there you'll see some examples of the terrain that they did, the kind of modular terrain they did for the setting. And so what you need to play your D8, so you'll need your armies. Yeah, 72 by 48, so 6 by 4. So you're not saving yourself any space, but you do have a different, different scale, different feel of the scale of the battle. 8-sided dice. And so, they still do the same thing, 4 up, 5 up, 6 up. And let's see, modified rerolls and rounding up. Oh yeah, sorry, it's not a bumper, it's a targeting dice. And then these are, of course, the command dice we took a look at. Oh, and exploding 8s they do have in the game. So some abilities give you the chance to reroll 8s on attacks or whatever. So it's nice. Things can get insane. That's very old school and fun. So bases and units. So all the bases together are called a unit, and the individuals are bases. And so you can see, examples, how many little tiny guys are on each of those. Yeah, that was the only thing, because it was a round base. I was trying to figure out how to orient them, if I should orient them kind of diagonally or, kind of in a square, how the bases themselves orient, because putting circles together, they don't look, they're definitely not in ranks. They definitely are kind of in these loose squads. So it does feel a little bit different. So these are the examples of the Plague Army, and they give you with the numbers, they tell you what each of the units are. Here's Asterion versus Forge Fathers, which we should be playing. Chris is painting these as we speak, and I'm working on some dwarves, so you should see this on the channel sometime. And they have the different status markers. That's what the little stars were. And then explanation of their unit profiles. So they have a height, which helps with terrain and like what you can shoot at, like what you get bonuses to shoot at. The unit strength, full and reduced, points values, how much something costs, speed values, so they're either advance or sprint depending on the order, and then what you need to shoot, ranged and melee. The armor value, which you roll against, so there's to hit, and then to damage is the armor roll, and then of course they get a save. So the unit will get a save roll. So very similar to probably older versions of 40k. And then how many attack dice, what the range is, and how many attack dice you roll with each shot. Oh yeah, so I just I didn't explain all that. And there is a nerve. Your leader, whatever the leader is, will give you your army a nerve value. So over certain amounts of fatalities, or I think bombardment and things, will trigger nerve tests. So let's see, yeah, and you're measuring stuff out, and they were they kind of said you can do it either way. The vehicles themselves you can just measure from the front of the tank or the transport or whatever it is if it doesn't have a base, or you can put a base on it. You can put a standard, I think these are like 30 millimeter base on it if you want to not have any questions about where you measure from and how things proceed. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I put little adhesive magnets on the bottom of these for now, just for painting, but I may add bases later. We'll see. So there are line of sight rules. Yeah, and there is elevation. Yeah, I tried in the playtest. I had some on top of a tower. I had some long distance units on top of a tower, which didn't work well because when you bombard a tower, everything like in and on the building is in trouble. I found that out. All right, so here's the explanation of their rounds, phases, and turns. So they do a command phase where you roll. Oh yeah, so every turn you'll roll your command dice, which were these dice that will give you how many points you have. So that will vary then. Oh, let's have the best die in there though. So that'll vary then every turn. So it does kind of swing things. So it's probably worth, if you've got the extra points, to buy a couple of extra dice that you'll be rolling, because it is every turn, and those will give you. We'll take a look at the stratagems that those will power. Then you assign the actions or basically orders for each of the units. Then you roll for initiative, and then you reveal your action token, so you see what everybody is doing. And then movement phase, and you move. You're trying to move into assault. You can set things to Overwatch, and some things on Overwatch can also do other things depending on stratagems and abilities. The combat phase is anything is touching, then rolls their combat. And at the end, you remove your pin markers and all that good stuff. Yeah, so here's the tokens that we saw. So your Overwatch Advance and Sprint, which go face down. Mandatory tokens, so yeah, when something is engaged, you mark it as engaged. Once it's pinned, that'll give it, it must be given an advanced token. It can't sprint or do anything else. And then unengaged that are not pinned can do either both sprint and Overwatch. All right, so hidden tokens. So simultaneously, both players select the tokens for each of the remaining units that are in play and reserves that will be entering and that have not been assigned tokens. And then these tokens they're face down next to the unit, and then they get revealed. And then when you roll for initiative, there's the big initiative token. So you know who chooses first, who decides how things go down in that turn. To reveal your tokens. And then you've got your command points and your can give orders. So let's see. So with the start of each round, both players create their die pool by taking. So you always roll 3 black dice, but as we saw, black dice can give you 0 if you roll very unlucky. And then in addition to whatever your leader has, and also what you can buy with stratagems ahead of time for points. So you roll all of that, and then the tactical orders that all armies have are Keep Going, which is an extra activation, Fight On, which is a reroll, and Courage, which clears pin markers if you want somebody to actually be able to do something. And then they explain the effects of each of those. All right. Simultaneous rules when sometimes 2 or more strategic orders or indeed any other rules may be triggered at the same time. Oh yeah, whoever has the initiative token gets to choose what order they happen in. Oops. Incoherency, so all units must stay within an inch of each other. Yeah, so removal of bases from a unit due to casualties should be performed to maintain coherency whenever possible. So yeah, don't just pull stuff out of the middle. All right, so moving units. So straight line, interpenetration of units. So anything, nothing can come within an inch unless they are engaging. Moving off the table. Assaulting enemies. Vehicles and walkers, and then super heavy units. Yeah, we didn't do any playtests with the very big stuff, so I'm curious how that. Oh yeah, so and the other status tokens. So engaged is that little blue burst, and the ambulance is going by, and then hindered is -1 on for combat. Oh, that's right. You get hindered based on, I think, if you're not the one attacking. There's some rules that generate that. So if any part of the moving units, unit's movement, even a single base, was in or through difficult terrain, okay, it is hindered for that combat. And then end of activations, and then Overwatch, which works as you would assume. Let's see, and then how to do ranged and line of sight. And then questions about is something in cover. And that was something we screwed up with the playtest, is shooting at flying units. Not all units can actually even shoot at flyers, so that was very unbalanced the way that we played it. And then removing casualties, so any damage that you remove an entire base, of course, because you don't move the individual, the tiny little units off, so you're moving whole bases. So when bases take damage, they are removed. So anything taking damage is just gone, and then there's the blast template that you, however many, usually get 3. You can place the first one, and then if it doesn't go off, then you can place them connected in any way. Yeah, so you have all kinds of fun decisions to make about which direction. And then they give you the specifics about, how to order the additional blast tokens. So here's other combat rules. Getting attacks. So roll to hit, roll to damage, roll to save. Pretty standard. Then remove casualties. And then determine winner, and then take a nerve test. So losers, if they have any units with bases remaining, must now take a nerve test equal to the difference between the difference their side lost the combat by. For every failed nerve test, the loser must immediately remove a base. And then tidy up. So get everything into coherency. Separate them by an inch. And then multiple combats, and look at the scale of it dealing with. It's a lot of bases on the table. So this is the scale that Armageddon and 40k players want to play, but it's so insane to do it at the table size you would have to do it. So Epic makes a lot of sense to have these the grand combat. Okay, end phase is triggered, so anything that happens during that goes off, and then you roll to remove pin markers and check for victory points. Their explanation of terrain, and yeah, everything's got heights, so you know what you can shoot over and what you can't climb over. Oh yeah, and this is the let me check the rules. The building stuff is interesting. Yeah, you can enter a building and go to the roof of a building, but if somebody blasts the building, that's not where you want to be. So it makes it interesting and strategic to use that building to get the advantage from elevation, but then also to take a beating once the walls start crumbling down. Yeah, and this is in my army. I chose some transports because they were cheap, and my army is very slow, being armored dwarves. So I'm curious to see how they'll move, and how the transport rules, if I can bail out and have the transports be cover, or how that's going to exactly work. I'll figure out the best way to make that happen. And no flyers. Yeah, flyers are always the I think Chris might have. Yeah, Chris in the core kind of army set, I think Chris has some flyers. I do not. They are in the more advanced support units. And that was nice on the Kickstarter. They had, of course, they were going to do sprues. They were going to do hard plastic for all of their core army units, and then they let you choose between STLs or I think resin for the reinforcements, the more advanced heavy units and flyers and stuff, and advanced units. I hope that means that stuff's going to be available to purchase digitally. I think that must. But it was nice that they gave you that option. There was an option to get everything except the hard plastic, all of the STLs they're offering, but it was close. I think it was like $400 or something. So I didn't know how hard we were going to go into it. And you'd still need to purchase plastic anyhow. So it wasn't going to save you. You couldn't print an entire army. Not yet. So we'll see. A hover deployment. Yeah, this is what I need to be doing, I think. deploying dwarves from the air. So here's all their keywords. Yeah, blast, chain barrage, anti-aircraft. Yeah, so you have to be anti-aircraft. I was getting shot at when I shouldn't have been getting shot at in some of our test games. Drop troops, heavy armor, hover deployment, indirect, orbital. Oh yeah, that's right. Orbital deployment or subterranean. I guess that's the rats, right? They've got like a drill transport. And some more explanations. Quick fix, resilience, scout, strider, sustained, unflinching. All right, and then here's their scenarios. So they give you kind of an idea of how to set things up. Decide how many points in your game. Choose your armies. Place your terrain. Agree on the game length. Oh, I guess how many turns is negotiable. And then determine scenarios. Place objectives. And then do your recon rolls and deployment. And begin. All right. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so they basically, you can just roll d8s. You can generate random scenarios. Interesting. Yeah, just explanation. But that's nice when they just have a very fixed order and it doesn't change and it doesn't fluctuate depending on what book is out at the time. And so these are their objective markers, were those radar-looking things, and you can set them to different active or inactive, and then scoring and reserves. That's going to be big. And there is you can do some rolls, some stratagems you can purchase that allow you to basically start with like 2 victory points, like depending on the rolls for recon and things, end up starting the game like 2 victory points ahead. So some of that is interesting. And yeah, I guess once you're big enough, you can bring things from reserve. Fog of War. So once you and your opponent are familiar, you may wish to play with Fog of War. So instead of revealing all the action tokens at once, each player only flips. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was something that came up very early on in the playtest. Instead of like showing what every unit is going to do both at once before you're actually activating, to just do it as the units are activated. So that was, I like that. I think that rule works well. I think we played once that way, and it was much more fun to be like, oh no, that's not doing what it needs to do. All right, and then how to build your army, like what's required, how many troops for every specialist, and support you need. And this is handled really well in there. They have a free army builder. So the Mantic Companion lets you build an army list. I think it limits you. The free version limits you, but you have access to the rules. You have access to the army builder. So you can basically build just playing around before you've bought anything or anything. See what kind of armies you can build and see if it's something that you'd like to play. That's really nice. So all of this is just baked into that. So it just lets you drag and drop, and it works on both. It's web based, so it works on both mobile phones and desktop stuff. Super heavies. And so here's the stratagems that everybody can buy ahead of time. So the quick thinking will give you an advantage on the first roll for initiative. Take and hold will let your units at all costs. On a 5 and up, the the objective will start the next round active. So basically an advantage of taking objectives. Bombardment, fire. This is something that's expensive, but this will look kind of useful. So anything that was in Overwatch can actually do like kind of orbital strike. And then this is the covert intelligence. So you spend this amount of points for a chance to roll on a 5 and up. You already have a victory point. And then advanced reconnaissance lets you buy command dice. All right, and so here's the factions. So the Asterians, basically the Eldar space elves, legally distinct space elves. And and it's the same kind of background, like a once great empire kind of fallen and trying to regain. Here's all your troops and specialist stat lines. I wish they gave you more visuals. I like when you've got stats and then you also have a little picture of a painted unit. They have some pictures that have everything, but when it's right next to the stats, it helps a lot. So here's all the Asterians, and here's some funky art of the plague getting space elved. Enforcers are the kind of space cops. Yeah, they're heavy. The more heavily armored, high tech, big flyers. Less army looking, more like this. Yeah, not big and bulky, not massively bulky, but just like high tech. High-tech enforcers. Forge Fathers are space dwarves with their slow but tough and high-tech approach to everything. And they've got a drop fortress. Can't wait for that. And then the human military, which is supporting this what is this? The co-prosperity sphere. All right. Yes, it probably plays more like Imperial Guard, and even some of their weapons look Imperial Guard-ish. And and so this is it. Like, this is all of the units. So I mean, they're not going to be expanding this out. This is the game. Like this book may have errata, it may have they may have some FAQs, but they've finished the game and they release it. That's much more comforting when you to invest in and spend your time, hobbying, painting your units, and then just not have it. Oh, the new edition's out. Just throw those in the trash because those aren't coming back for 5 years. And Marauders, the space orcs. Yeah, I don't think the orcs aren't as crazy gonzo in this. They're just very militaristic green skins. They're not. I don't think they claim other people's machines. I think that's up to the plague to do that. The Nameless. Let's see if there's some pictures of these. Yeah, these are just kind of like weird Lovecraftian nightmare creatures. Yeah, with it looks like weapons they stole from the Necron. But yeah, they're very fishy, buggy-looking tentacled things. And I think they came out. I think they're pretty new, even to the firefight setting. So I'm sure they get weirder and weirder the largest they get. Oh, and this is the plague. So this is the xeno zombie thing that they're reusing. So the feel of them definitely feel much more like the necromutant, kind of Algaroth forces of Mutant Chronicles. than they do Nurgle. Yeah, this kind of psychopath. So they're still wearing the shredded fatigues, and they're all the freaked out looking versions of the soldiers. And then our space rats, the veer-myn. So I think these are the ones that, can deploy from underground when they were talking about that different kind of deployment. Yeah, they've got the, similar to the fantasy version, they've got the wheels and they've got the drills. The kind of larger war machines. And then here's, we got 30 pages of this background to kind of catch you up in the setting. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is generic-y sci-fi. Oh, we've got the co-prosperity sphere on a map, as we can see who lives near who. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if kind of doing it halfway or kind of doing an okay job of it is enough. And here's basically everybody's breakdown. All right, that's what we want to be doing right there. So here's breakdown. So I guess everybody had a page in the beginning of the faction that kind of described them, and probably it described more of their tactics and how they played, which is another good thing that they did, even though the people that are already playing Mantic Games know the, and people who've played 40K know kind of how these different factions are supposed to play, and what their strengths and weaknesses are. They did a nice job of doing kind of YouTube videos during the Kickstarter and going through the factions, and as they were unlocked, explaining, okay, now we have this faction and this is how they play. And so if you're this kind of player, maybe you're interested in them. So that was nice, kind of approaching it like, just the complete starting player, the complete noob player. That was nice that they did things that way. But you don't have to get this stupid big. I guess in Epic it's fine because it's only this big. But in 28 mil, that's ridiculous. Yeah, so we just got through the lore. We were just kind of flipping through the random lore, but it was nice to see that they did that. And they do, at the very end, let me just show you a nice thing that everybody should do. So once the lore was done, they have quick references, so you can have these. I'm sure there's like a PDF of these as well that you can print out, but really nice reference sheets to sequences, the phases of a turn, and references to elevation and how to shoot at stuff, as well as the default tactical orders that everybody gets. So that was Epic Warpath, and I guess I'll download this stream and sew these two pieces together to make it a whole thing. So this book is available. I think it's in full order as we speak. I don't think it's even pre-order. Let me double check. But that was everything that was included in the, let's see here. It's not saying pre-order. Yeah, so everything is available, the rulebook and tokens. So the rulebook comes with the tokens, which is nice. Yeah, everything is, it's not saying pre-order. Oh no, the book is on back order. Wait a minute. The book is on back order. How about the starting bundle? Everything is on back order. Okay, so I guess it's not fully released yet. The page is there, but it looks like all of this stuff is saying it's on back order currently. But it's coming. And there's a link in the description. Yeah, so this is everything that will basically come in your starter set plus 2 factions. So let's take a look at what one of these core army packs looks like. So we kind of went through the rules, and not retail boxing. This is just their generic boxing. Oh, but the nice thing is, so it's not just a box with junk that's just going to fall out of it. It's actually got a another interior box inside. So this makes it nice for building. If I can get it out of here. Live stream. There we go. So this is the Plague Core Army starter box. So you've got all of these, I think 30 mil bases, and an interesting feature to these, because some things are for your basic units of 4, but on the other side is a command. There's a command side. So you've got the standard size. So most units are going to be for infantry and heavies and specialists and stuff like before. But on the other side, so you don't have to do different, is 2. So a lot of command units and smaller specialists or leader units only have 2 miniatures. So the bases have that option for both. So you get all the bases for everything in there. And so what are we doing here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there should be one more. Oh, that's 6, yeah. So basically, your core army set is 6 identical sprues. So it's going to let you, of course, your basic troops are going to have probably the most on here. So you make those, from this, you'll have the most of the basic troops. But then it's also got your command units, your leaders, and as well as all of your vehicles and everything. So the instructions for what goes where, what units are actually online. So Mantic has instructions kind of page that shows for all of their armies. So they don't include anything in the book. So there's no paper in here at all to tell you how to put stuff together. But this is going to give you 6 times whatever is on here. So maybe for just the command, just your leaders, you'll only be able to make 6 of those. But for everything else, you'll be able to make, whatever number. So these are, your zombies and all of your horrible variations. Let's take a look. So they're, will they actually focus? They're so tiny. So you've got 6 identical sprues, similar to what a lot of the other game companies do when they do the multi-part kits. You'll have 6 identical sprues, but you've got all kinds of options. This you don't have options, but you've got the most common units, the one you're going to need the most of, are the most on the sprue. And these are all really nice, hard plastic. They come out really well. And that 10 millimeter difference, you can see, if the camera is going to let me, there's actually something to paint. There's actually details to paint on here. You're actually going to be dry brushing and putting some dots on visors and things, because that extra 4 millimeters gives you just enough detail. And I think that's why they kind of went for that, because they don't have to go any bigger on the base themselves. Once they said round bases, yeah, let's make it a little bit bigger. The detail's a bit nicer. You're not just kind of blobbing and washing things and putting little dots on where a gun may be. And if you look on the examples, either in the rulebook or on the website, you can see that there is something to paint there. So it helped a little bit more for what they were doing, and it also made the super heavies and the gigantic, like the kind of Titan miniatures, be a little bit more significant. It's a little bit more fun for what they're doing. So here's every level of their zombies and leapers and different. A lot of the units are just spelled out by the amount of mutation that they've suffered. And the Plague have, of course, like reclaimed weapons or things that they've kind of taken over from other factions. So in a kind of an orky way, but that's fun because then you can crud them up and I couldn't resist getting the Plague faction as well, because it fits my messy, ugly painting style well, just like Nurgle does, just like Death Guard. So yeah, so you get 6 of these hard plastic sprues in here, along with all the bases you need. So not only do you get the bases that are troop or command, but you also get bases for anything that's a single unit. So some of these larger, and I think no matter how many, because this is their standard sprue of these, and I think maybe you only get like 6 or so of these, so you won't be using all of these bases. But let's see, who would that be? Is there anybody in here? Oh yeah, this guy. So the reclaimed kind of walker unit looks like it gets one of these bases. And if you look, there's only one of these. So yeah, you're only going to be using 6 of these. So you'll have 4 extra bases. And some of them you can use, flipped over if you want to put your vehicles on bases as well. Here's your option. Chris told me that there was, because the Asterians have some flyers and some bigger, in their core army, they have some bigger vehicles, said that there were actually MDF bases included in the Asterian set. So they want to give you bases for everything. But yeah, so here's what Plague looks like. And so yeah, it's no frills, no instructions, no assembly instructions or anything. 6 identical units with all the bases that you're going to need. But the thing is, this is enough. Let's see. So I put together. So here's where I am so far with my dwarves. So the Forge Fathers. So far, this is 1,000 points. So this is what 1,000 points looks like from this core box, and I still have. I think you can probably do close to 2,000 points. I still have, depending on how they're equipped and everything. I probably could do twice as many in the from the just the core set. So this doesn't include any of the super heavies or any of the big stuff. And I went with a Iron Ancestor for the leader unit, so I don't even have any of the bases with the 2 figures on there. But that is what 1,000 points looks like, which is going to be kind of our starting game. And so you can build about twice as much of that. And I think that that will work out with a number of units and specialists and support right out of the box. So you're getting basically 2,000 points, not of a lot of versatility, but what's in the basic set. And then, of course, you can piecemeal kind of add things and based on how you want to play and how big the game is going to be. So yeah, it's a pretty good start. And if you're looking at the prices of things, one of these, you're not from the crowdfunding, of course, it's back on British pounds. One of these just basic starters. Come on, the core army. It's not going to give me. It's not going to give me dollars. Give me Yankee dollar. All right. Well, I think it's £80. So it's 110. Yeah. So 110 on the website, and I think you were getting it closer to 70. I think it was like closer to $70, $75 through the crowdfunding. So that's why I added the additional faction for the starter. And these I don't think are ever going to be, I mean, who knows, but I don't think these are ever going to be digital. So you'll always have to buy the base army to get your troops. And so STLs will probably be available for the more advanced units. So any faction that you'd be interested in getting this for 110, that's not bad. It's comparable. I guess it's pretty comparable to the smaller, spearheads and whatever they're calling them now for 40K to get into the game. But there is the two-player starter set, which is listed. It's not listed yet. It's not listed yet on the. Oh, here we go. Is 160. So if you're interested in Enforcer or Plague, so splitting that, you're at 80 plus a rule book and all the tokens and dice and everything. So yeah, you can definitely. Oh yeah, so next month. Sorry, things are kind of listed. They've got release dates on them. So it looks like actually early next year for the core armies releases for stuff that was unlocked on the Kickstarter. Sorry, there's spaces for them, but they're coming soon. So it is kind of pre-order, even though they don't let you place the orders yet. They give you release dates. So if you check out the Mantic website, which I put a link to, you can see when this stuff is coming out. Yeah, so 110. It's a little pricey, but it's good quality plastic. It's not it's not typical Mantic, like almost board game stuff. Some of the earlier days, yeah, Mantic didn't do great plastic. But this is comparable to anything. I mean, I would. Comparing this sprue to the sprue of the Epic thing that Games Workshop is doing now, I'm sure they're very close in the quality of the plastic and the number of units you get on a sprue and everything. But yeah, so Epic Warpath. So coming soon. So yeah, check out Hive Mind's social media if you want to see some space elves painted. And I went with got magnets on everything, but I went with kind of a real traditional color scheme for these guys, but I want to do something more. I saw some people do really great stuff. You've got this like gap in here, really great stuff with some terrain details and stuff. People had like buried oil drums and stuff. So I want to play around with what else you can like get on these bases, because they are kind of scenic bases. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of room between the individual models themselves. But these are just the basic troops. But yeah, so that's the kind of the color scheme. It's a little lighter than I thought. So maybe I'll wash to get it a little greener. But I liked the contrast, the orange contrast, and the kind of cruddy red earth that they're running on. So that's what the Forge Fathers will look like on this end. And the transports, they have basically a slot here where the turrets go for either the flame turret or the magma turret. But I found these little adhesive domes that I thought made them look extra stupid sci-fi. So I'll do some tinting on that. But I thought that was a fun way to turn make the transport look like it just wasn't missing a turret. Yeah, so something a little fun. And then the Iron Ancestor. So these are the single units on the base. And so you can run one of these. I don't have the actual model, but I can run one of these as my leader. So they don't have as big of a zone of control, but they're very tough. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so elves versus dwarves coming soon to the channel. And I'll have to figure out if I can get away. I think I could. Let's see. We can actually just tactically try it right now. If the setup that I have now will get me close enough, maybe I can just, maybe I can just paint on stream. I'll have to fix the focus, right? I'll have to shut down the autofocus. But yeah, I think I could actually paint on stream. I'm not doing, much with these guys. It's pretty simple. So it'd be a fun paint and chat kind of low-key stream. So yeah, look for that in the next couple of days. Maybe I'll jump on and finish these guys up because they're all primed. I got 1,000 points primed. I just want to get some color on them. And yeah, I think especially for the vehicles, I think darkening them up a little bit. I'll play with the, I've got like a military drab, like an olive drab wash that may tone down this khaki. I don't want them to look like Desert Storm. A little khaki-er. But yeah, so here's the, I just did an adhesive magnet, which I just noticed I was really getting spoiled. The rare earth magnets are disappearing from the kind of the dollar stores in Japan. So I wonder if there's a trade thing going on with China. But and these guys, I haven't figured out how I'm going to attach the turrets yet. And right now it's just blue tack. I don't know if I'm going to just do a pin or a magnet, because that's what I was looking for the rare earth magnets for. It's because I got some pretty tiny ones here that I could just seat in there. So yeah, here's what I was talking about. Here's the blue tack. So yeah, that's just supposed to be the transport, which I thought was pretty ugly and boring. And then the turrets, seat in there. So that's why I put the little dome on there. It looked kind of funny. But yeah, it's basically, so on the sprue, the only thing to change between the different units are the turret or no turret. And these are the veterans with their heavy rocket launchers, which you're just going to have a little bit of differentiation maybe in the weapons themselves. And I don't know, I think the visors have got a little bit more green on their visor and stuff. So that'll change. But yeah, should be fun. I guess that works. Yeah, it's looking pretty sharp on stream. If I can turn off the autofocus, we may be able to get away with this. So here you can take a look now at even a closer, even closer look at the sprue. So this is the plague sprue. So there's your commander, your leader token, and the bits of the vehicles. Yeah, so I think they've got a tank and a transport that they've stolen, as well as a walker. But yeah, nice detail. 10 millimeters, just a little bit more. So there's a little bit more to mess with. And it's great. I mean, I've, in the past, gotten a hold of some pretty lousy, like my, what was it? The Forge Star, the Battle for the Forge Star. The first 2-player Mantic set I ever bought was... the plastic is okay, but there's also some real shoddy, like, other stuff in there. The stuff that's on sprues was okay, but they do some pretty board gamey plastic. But yeah, so we'll get to painting these up, at least get some color on them so they look better on the table. And I've got a nice 4x6 mat that we can play on. So we shall do that. So yeah, let me know in the chat if I'm actually still live. I have no idea if this is even working, but let me know in the chat if you guys would be interested in some painting streams, just hanging out. I definitely have to start them earlier, but painting streams. All right, so let me go through. So yeah, so Chris and I just kind of went in on it. I when I was picking the factions, I just said to Chris, yeah, which which one do you want? What would you play? If I was to trick you into playing Warpath, because we played the playtest before, and the Space Elves were what Chris went for. All right. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I was talking about this. This getting its release on the weekly. Yeah. Sorry about the break. So I'll download this and like stitch it together and re-upload it. But good. Yeah. Yeah, Chris is done. So 10 millimeter is seems gigantic compared to what Chris has been doing for historical. I think 2 millimeters. So just like little nubs, just little tiny nubs on a rectangular base is what a lot of the Roman stuff and all that. Yeah, grains of rice. But yeah, so so look for some painting streams. I'll get that started a little earlier than today, but that should be fun. And yeah, and look for this many minis on a battlefield near you. So we'll just kind of play a couple of little test runs to learn the rules, and then we'll try out some of this. So at least it's not. I think this is the gluable terrain, which is nice because I think Mantic specialized in pinning or clipping. Like they had a bunch of this kind of stuff for like Deadzone and stuff, but you like clip it together. So it's nice that they got away from that. I think, yeah, who knows? That was an experiment. But yeah, we'll see what all this stuff looks like. We'll give this a coat and a wash and see what the battlefield looks like. But yeah, I guess this camera will work for painting. So yeah, we'll give that a shot. It definitely gets the detail down, and I've got a big softbox light, so that's enough light for you to see what's going on. So cool. Well, yeah, thanks for watching. And I wanted to, I'm kind of backed up on unboxing stuff, so I'll get some more stuff going here before too long. I got the Gundam Assemble stuff came out, so you can see the miniatures for that. Yeah, just a couple of other games and books to go over. But if you like what we're doing, take a look at upturnedtable.com and Upturned Table on all social media. Subscribe to the channel if you want to get notified when stuff like this goes live, and then it gets broken and then it goes live again. We're good at doing that. And yeah, tune into the weekly every Thursday night Pacific time, US. We go live with a kind of discussion of gaming news and stuff. And we'll be painting and playing. We've got to figure out a way to do a little bit better than the scuffed battle reports we did in the past. But we'll improve. This may help give us a reason to improve our camera and mic setup for doing. And actually, yeah, I think it might work. If we clip the mics to the table and have an arm that can follow us, I think that might work. So thanks for watching. And to all the members and patrons, thank you so much for all of your support. There's a join button below the video, as well as patreon.com/upturnedtable, where you can get access to everything we post for members and patrons, as well as the RSS feed. So thanks again for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye.